What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Triangle. This is your boy D.
And it's your girl CJ.
And I may not judge you for what you believe in politically.
Yes.
And I'm not going to judge you for what you believe in religiously. However, tell you what I will judge you on. One, if the bottom of the back of your toilet is dirty, I'm judging you.
Ooh, that's nasty. Yeah.
I'm judging you. And I'm looking. Please believe if I'm ever in your house.
I'm looking.
The second thing I'm going to judge you for is if I open the drawer with your utensils in it and that little tray you keep your forks and shit,
got crumbs in it? Nope.
Nigga, the food's supposed to be on my plate, not in the damn drawer. I'm done.
That does irk me.
That's what I will judge you on. But I'm Brandy, so just know if I'm at your house, clean your toilet, clean that shit out. I'm
done.
I can't believe it. Like dried up food. I've seen like some ketchup or barbecue sauce in one.
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
Do you have a plastic fork or something I can use? Like, no.
Listen.
Sticky floors fuck with my soul. I can't do sticky floors at all.
Oh my God.
If I step on someone's floor and it's sticky, I'm good. Anything sticky at all.
Well, it's because you can't tell what the fuck it is. Is it barbecue sauce? Is it pea? Is it jam? Is it,
it could be
what about like really dirty like light switch boards? Like when you can tell it's got like food or something on it. And I'm just like,
oh God.
Everyone's just touching this? No one's cleaning it.
Nobody's doing anything.
Nobody's cleaning it. You're just letting everyone touch it. Okay.
Or like dust. My thing is dust. When there's too much dust on something, like you can't see that. You can't see that.
Oh my God, that thick ass thing of dust on a ceiling fan.
That shit is like fur.
Like you clean your whole ass room, but you didn't dust the. Okay, let's just put the dust right back onto the room, like.
Or when there's fingerprints all over somebody's TV when it's off, and I'm like, so
what do you do?
Touching the fucking TV?
Y'all got a touchscreen TV, nigga? Like, what are you doing?
What the fuck is going on?
What are you doing? I've seen handprints on someone's TV, and I'm like, what in the ring is going on?
Not gonna lie, it's a little weird.
It's hella weird.
Anyway,
we like to be hella weird. Let's get weird.
We're gonna start get weird. Today we're talking about the Denver International Airport.
No, you have to say it right, CJ. What is this series called? Once a month, we have our what type of
I didn't know that was a series. Are we making it into a series?
Look, now you know. So you got to say it.
I guess what the fuck is up with the Denver?
When you say it like you actually did.
I didn't know it was a series. I was not prepared. I thought you just was like saying it.
CJ, say it right.
Put the blowtorch down,
say
sir.
It right before my henchmen get you.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's the what the fuck is up with the Denver International Airport, Kobe's weird death, the coronavirus that's happening right now.
Also known as the T virus, also known as anybody that's paid attention to the Walking Dead or zombie video games, we got this shit. Because it's time. Fallout.
You know that game Fallout?
Time. Oh my God, you're right.
Yep. Anyway, so let's start with the Denver International Airport. I don't know if everybody is familiar with it, but there is a lot of weird statues, portraits, things going on there that is very disturbing. You can actually, like, if you Google Denver International Airport, it's better to YouTube it actually, because there's a lot of theorists and critical thinkers, I like to say, that took the time to put all the pictures and statues together. You can watch it in one go. It's better than just researching it yourself. They really did a good job on it. We might have to put some links on there to share it.
Oh, no, I'm totally doing it because it is good.
Yeah, it is. I don't know.
But what I tell you, I didn't know they had those fucking gargoyles there, or on the outside of it, that statue of Anubis.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why do you have a statue of the Anubis in the middle of Colorado?
And then for those who don't know, CJ, break down.
Who Anubis is?
Why do you always make me?
Let's go to our Google, shall we? I could do it, but it's just more fun to have the little know-it-all do it.
What? I was going to go with the other part of the Denver International Airport. I was going to do the one that nobody knows about, that I feel like I know about, that y'all don't know about.
So, Anubis is a gatekeeper.
D's like, fuck you, I'm going to take over. Say it again. I'm sorry, D. Go ahead.
Basically, Anubis is the gatekeeper of the ancient Egyptian underworld. So if you die, you have to go through Anubis, and he takes you to heaven or hell. He takes you to be judged, pretty much. That's
what movie is that there's in? It's Gods of Egypt. That scene where they're at the cliff.
Oh yeah.
I didn't watch it, so
don't, because you'll be mad as hell that all the gods are white.
That everybody was white, so I was like, "What I look like paying for this?"
Everybody was white except for the peasants.
Oh, surprise!
I know, but no. So, Dee, tell us what they look like. They're like animals and stuff too. They're like half.
Anubis is he's half. Is he half jackal or a dog?
It's a jackal. I thought it was a jackal.
I think
he's
it's
half
a jackal,
half man. He has the body of a man and the head of a jackal.
Yes.
So it's kind of creepy looking. Let me see if I can find a picture of Anubis. So for those of you that don't know,
it's very ominous looking, and I'm like, why would you want that in that horse? There's like a big statue of a white horse with red eyes. I mean, it looks insane.
The little
and
dark
I'm like,
horse
this is
thing
what I
that
want
they
to
got?
see when I first get in here. And again, like we're saying, we're going to show pictures if you're watching us on YouTube, but just look it up yourself. Between the floor pan, there he is. Now his body is right though. That body is together.
Body right.
What's up, Anubis? How you doing?
I'm done.
I like toxic men.
Oh, we know.
Half jackal, dog ass nigga.
Now we know.
Dog ass motherfucker.
No.
We love you.
Ass nigga. Look at this dog ass motherfucker.
Not his dog ass.
Yeah, he a dog. He don't know how to call nobody back.
But so what's disturbing to me is that they have left all these, like, I feel like they're mocking the people who understand what these symbols and statues and paintings and all of that are. Because even with like one of the murals, they're like, you know, talking about aliens and stuff, or they're talking about like conspiracy theorists, and like there's so many, we can't even list all of them in one sitting. Like you really need to go Google,
because you could probably spend an hour.
Oh my God, just on one little thing.
But one mural reading the breakdown, and these gargoyles actually talk. One of them did, and they talk about it being the Illuminati headquarters. So I kind of feel like that is messing with people. Like we know you guys believe in this anyway, so we're gonna make a joke of it as if it's not true. But this shit is real, y'all. Like,
and so
not a game
to me, it's like, are you hiding everything in plain sight, right? So because like people have said, there's like some secret doors, secret things, and whatever is happening. So here's the thing. Somebody else did the research, and I read it. And a lot of people don't know this about that place, is they actually built it twice. Did you know that?
I heard that.
Yeah. So they built the airport once, apparently, and they said it wasn't good enough. They said they scrapped it and built another airport on top of it. But nobody knows why they did it on top of it instead of just like getting rid of what happened. Like,
you know what?
So this underground.
I vaguely remember hearing something as a little fucking kid. I was still living in California. So I had to I was under 10 years old. And I used to watch the show that came on TV. It was called Sightings. I don't know if you guys remember, but
that sounds
Sightings. So they would always talk about like aliens and like UFO sightings. But sometimes they would talk about paranormal stuff too. And I remember this one specifically because the airport hadn't opened yet. And a lot of people had died while they were constructing this airport.
I was getting to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember they were talking about it, and then there were a lot of the locals were saying that it was bad land, or they shouldn't have built on that land because it was sacred, and it was like a burial ground or something like that. Something to that effect, which is why it's a lot of paranormal stuff that occurs there.
So I think it might be some kind of sacred land, and I'm wondering if it's on a ley line. And on top of that, we should look that up. And then on top of that, the way that it was designed, I believe they said it's designed like some of the temples that are used. Because that's the only airport that has that weird like roofing. Where it looks like
the roofing is odd.
Yeah, so they're saying that I think it was some kind of temple or religious building roofing, and it's very similar to that. I gotta look up the exact thing, but I was like, that is really weird that they have underground buildings readily available, and that airport is consistently under construction. That's what they say.
That's not weird when you consider what we've talked about before, just our private conversation before we started this podcast, y'all, because we would just be talking for hours about all the crazy shit
right.
over the years. And if you're thinking about things like we talked about with martial law, or deciding, hey, we might start a war or something and we need to evacuate a certain amount of people and a certain type of people. So where can we house them and bunker them? Because what I've been reading now, they're saying that it has, or someone else's analysis of the airports, that it has the capacity to handle a huge amount of people and vehicles, leading observers to think that the structure might be used as a military base, and others even add that it will be used as a civilian concentration camp in the near future.
And there's a couple things out there about that.
Is a horse of the apocalypse. That horse is pale and has like veins, like you know how somebody will die and the body's starting to decompose and what have you. Mm-hmm. The eyes glow red at night, and the person who made that structure actually the statue.
It glows red at night.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes are red. The eyes turn red at night, and that statue fell on the creator. The statue killed the person who made it.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I don't think it was accidental, but
at all. Because if we're thinking about, if y'all watch enough shows, especially if you listen to this podcast, in our first couple episodes, if you were interested in that, to me, that means you're the type of person that watches these kind of supernatural shows. Mm-hmm. And all the time, even you don't even gotta watch no supernatural show. Just looking at a story like the Bible or anything, there's always a blood sacrifice. Yep. Blood is always activating something.
That shit is real.
Isn't that like weird that they talk about every conspiracy theory, and that's why it's so weird to me, because they talk about the lizard people, they talk about aliens, they talk about Illuminati, they talk about like every single thing you can think of, UFOs, all of that are murals or statues in this fucking airport.
And they have a Masonic capstone there too.
Oh yeah, that's right, they do. Like this, like to me, it's so crazy. Like, here's a picture. I don't know if y'all can see it. That's the horse.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
And the eyes are just red. And I'm just like, why does it need to be? Here's a better one. Here we go. There we go. If you're listening, you can watch us on YouTube and check it out.
Who wants to see something like that?
Isn't that creepy to fly in and see that if you've never been there? And
I've been there, and I took my ass straight to the bar and just drank. Because I was like, I don't want to take a tour.
I'm not gonna lie. Anytime I traveled west, I'm like, I do not want to stop in that airport. After I learned about this years ago, I'm like, I don't want to stop in there. I will look for flights that connect through Texas and then just go over. I'm like, I don't want to stop there. It's too weird.
It's just such a weird construction that they have. I mean, look at the murals. They're like, I don't know if you can see this. There's like beasts and stuff sitting with children feasting.
Yeah.
One, bring up the one that's got the guy that basically looks like a Nazi with the kids underneath.
That's the one that they're talking about.
Girl.
Or the one with the dead kid. You see that one?
Yes. There's one with a dead child.
Yep. That's the crazy one. Like the World War, and I'm not sure about how I feel. I really just don't want to go there. like the gargoyles and stuff. Here's one of the gargoyle. Like, why is this necessary?
In a fucking airport.
Yes.
I'm like, you're not telling me you guys are conjuring something. You're harnessing energy. You gotta be.
Like, to me, I don't know if this is funny when they put murals up like this. And on this picture, it says, are we creating the world's greatest airport or preparing for the end of the world? Like,
is that what it says?
That's what it says with the horse with the beams coming out. And I'm just like, how do you even joke about stuff like that? That's not funny at all. And like, there's another wall that says like, is it construction or cover up? Like, it's just continuous, which is why I can't.
And then that picture that she showed, I think, did you already show the picture with the guy with the sword? And
yes.
The crazy. So there's a letter inside of that mural there too, that was written by someone at a concentration camp. And I'm like, why would you add that in there? You know what I mean?
Energy.
And the place, what is it? Auschwitz, if I'm saying that right?
Auschwitz.
Yep.
If that place was infamous for using toxic gas, and you have a guy on top of kids with a gas mask on, why is this a part of a mural in a goddamn airport?
I don't know.
Why? Like, people need to start asking questions, and then of course, like we say, do your research. When you ask the right questions, you'll find some right answers. But it's really insane how this they said there's a swastika runway, baby.
That's not okay.
Runway in a damn airport.
Now, see, I mean, I could talk about the Denver airport forever because I read and watched and did all kinds of shit for I got like really into it for like a good 2 months or something. That's all I read about. But like the fact that they will not say, or like really people don't talk about how people died while people were constructing that, or the statues that were made. Like, people don't talk about that stuff. It wasn't really in the news or anything either that I can remember. You know what I mean?
No, I felt like all of this stuff was, when you're reading about this stuff, it's almost like, why couldn't I hear about something like this? Because it's so odd. Yeah. And then I didn't even know anything about this looking like that on the inside until I started researching. I'm like,
right.
How come nobody's talking about how weird this is? And then that just goes to show you how distracted and disconnected and desensitized we are. We're just walking past weird ass shit and nobody's bothering.
Nobody's saying that.
You're just going right to pay for your $24 Starbucks cup of coffee. And
how many people go through that airport every day and not say anything on Twitter or Instagram, not on Facebook? I know friends who fly through that all the time for work, and they don't.
I purposely stayed away. I was like, where's the bar?
And it would be not where's the bar. And it would be different, kind of, not all the way, but it would be different. And I'm going to look this up too, even while we're on the phone. It would be different if all the airports had a lot of the weird symbolism. There's just a heavy amount.
If it was like the same across the board,
across the board, then okay. So I'm like, I might have to do some research on JFK and then Atlanta, but I'm just like, I've been to Atlanta many, many times, and they never seen no shit like that.
No.
So I'm like, it has to be a vital vortex later.
It's the capital of the Hunger Games. Have you guys ever read that book or watched the movie?
I've watched the first movie. And
me too.
I think when you read the book, it kind of explains more of where it's located. I think it's Denver. Because this is supposed to be in the future, but there's no such thing as the U.S. anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like in the way future. And,
I'm gonna go look that up. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to look it up. There's 3 different books, but this one, I think it's in Denver, is where it takes place. It's where the new capital is located.
That would be so insane, like so insane.
And then there's a lot of people online talking about the book is a little deeper than what you might think is on the surface. So I think you should look into that, because that's pretty intense. It kind of reminds me of something, or it seems like something that could possibly happen. Like,
oh no, what do you mean possibly? When I watched that first movie, I was shook because it wasn't one of those films I watched and I was just lost in the fantasy of it, like Lord of the Rings or something.
Right.
I was looking like, no, this could happen.
A possibility.
Yeah, that could possibly happen. Yeah.
This could literally happen, where it's like a few of y'all are going to fight for food for your district, and we're really going to kill you. So good luck.
Do you know the
odds be in your favor?
Would you like a brief synopsis, CJ?
I mean, I know the story. I've watched the first movie. I just haven't watched all of it. Like, I never get to watch movies like that. That's all it is. But speaking of which, unless you guys have something else, the next thing we were going to talk about is this coronavirus situation.
That shit, yeah.
So when it first started and it started spreading, I was telling Rob, it's not even Fallout. There's another game that was like a biochemical game that people were playing for a while, a couple of years ago. A year or two ago.
Bioshock, but that's not
Fallout is one of them, but there's another one where it was like a breakout. I can't even remember the name. I might have to ask Rob, but it was like a chemical weapon that went around, and then people, like, all the countries would turn red if they were infected, and the world would like end. And
you said that's not Bioshock?
Is it Bioshock? Maybe. Was it BioShock? I don't know. I know that Fallout is very similar, but it was definitely another game other than Fallout. And maybe it was BioShock. I can't remember. But right now, like as far as the update came through 19 minutes ago, there's about 100 people being evaluated for possible infection just in the US alone right now. It upped like this in days.
It really did, because we just talked about this a week ago.
In days. And right now, if you are in what is it, Wuhan, China, and if you're trying to fly back or try to get out of the country or made it out on a train or something, there's only 5 airports that you can go through in the US that are equipped with certain equipment to try to catch people if they may have the virus. But the incubation time for this virus is a week, so there's a possibility that somebody can be infected and not show fever or any symptom for a full 7 days, which is why it's so crazy. I know that they're saying that in order to prevent it, you can treat it like a regular flu, wash your hands for 20 seconds or more. You know, if you start to notice coughs and whatever, or fever, get to the doctor like really fast, things like that. But my issue is like, it's spreading at a weird pace. This one's not like SARS. It's not like Ebola. It's not, it feels like one of those games, because first, in China, they were trying to say that it's not going to be very easy for human to human to contract it. And then the second day, they were like, oh, a wife that was taking care of a husband got it because they were in close quarters. Then it was like, oh, there might be some viral stuff that can transmit if you're not cleaning up after yourself, like washing your hands. Yeah. And then before you knew it, they shut down 2 cities. And now it's like 10. It might be more right now. I haven't updated.
And then I always feel like with this, they're not telling us the full story.
Oh, girl.
I always feel like that. I'm like, there is something else going on. And I don't know if it's because of how my mind works now or because I've watched way too many, again, zombie films. But I'm like, every single time. And no, girl, for real.
I believe you. I do.
Every single time in a zombie film, like the most recent one I watched was a Korean one, Train to Busan, or Busan, whatever. And
Busan.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up, so correct me if you're listening and you're Korean. Sorry. But
Chinese, not Korean.
What did you say?
It's a Chinese, not Korean.
Well, no, I said Korean because the movie.
Oh, is it in Korea?
But you just like to correct me all the time.
I do. That's my job.
So that's fine. That's why Heather be going off. So that's fine. You're gonna have a fun time ahead of you, honey. For those listening, that reference is to her daughter because her daughter's also a Libra like me. And although I don't believe 110% in zodiac attitudes, I do love to fuck with CJ.
She's so mean to me. Look,
we're just gonna open shit.
We're just gonna drink to that. Look, it says it's time to get awesome. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, that's cute.
That's
but
cute.
Why
I'm getting fucked up.
I stole it from Rob. That's what I did. But no, so like.
But anyway, to my point, because we got distracted.
Yes, we did.
all the time. The government doesn't tell the full story, or they get ready to push people off somewhere else because they'd rather bomb a city or kill a group of people to contain something they done experimented on or something like that.
That part.
And then they tell a completely different story, but you've been with the main characters the whole time, so you know the real. But then on TV, they were on these TVs, girl. They was telling people ain't nothing to worry about. There's only this many people infected, but you're watching the main characters go through this, and the whole cities are gone.
Right.
Everybody's dead. So
it's weird.
I don't like to tell us the full story.
And so Rob is into all of this stuff too, and he sent me this thing. Have you guys watched Resident Evil?
Yes.
Do you remember the Umbrella Corporation? Right? Huh? What?
Yeah. Isn't it called the T-virus in that?
Something like that. But the Umbrella Corporation, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in the movie, they release a virus that infects the people of Raccoon City, right? And it's a biological research lab with the exact same logo as the Umbrella Corporation that's found in Wuhan. I'm going to show it to you in a minute.
I know you fucking lying. I'm about to Google it.
Listen, here. This right here. The one in the gray is the real one. the one in the red, and so the blue, white, and gray picture is the one in Wuhan right now. That's the lab. And the red and white one is the one from Resident Evil. Now, here's the Corona is a anagram for raccoon. Those letters rearranged. It's an anagram for raccoon.
Oh shit! What?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. What?
All right, let's get our weapons. It's time.
I don't know
how all this shit goes down.
I don't know how to
get
feel.
heavy in the Middle East with not Pakistan, Iran.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden we got plagues and shit. This shit is fucking
So here's
crazy.
The thing with the plague thing. Y'all know every 100 years that 1620, 1720, 1820, 1920, 2020. It might be a thing.
And I hope not. Also, CJ, when you're dropping these great facts, because I love when you do, stop saying y'all know, right? A lot of us don't.
I'm sorry.
Had no fucking clue.
Y'all do know. You do know that. No, nigga, God, I don't.
You know,
it's just the way I talk. It's just the way I talk. No. That's okay. Go ahead and pick on me. People love it when you guys pick on me. I've seen it in the YouTube comments. I remember one, I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry, I'll come back to it. But they was like, we don't know what was funnier, the actual episode or Brandy and Dee taking on CJ for 20 whole ass minutes at the end of the
I forgot we just went off on her.
Off.
That was crazy. That didn't even, that was not even warranted.
No,
I don't. It wasn't. We was just out of nowhere. Sorry.
We're just not sorry.
So, you know what? Back to the coronavirus. The death toll is rising in China, and U.S. is planning to evacuate everybody from Wuhan right now, which I don't understand how they're going to do that if it's shut down.
I was going to say, please explain to me how they're going to do that.
It looks like at least 106. This is updated news from an hour ago. It says 106 people have died in China from the new virus, and more than 4,500 others have been infected in more than a dozen countries, including 5 confirmed cases in the United States. I think there's a few more right now. And then
where?
Well, there's two in Texas, I believe. One in Chicago.
We had a scare here in Vegas, but I think they said that they were released from the hospital and they were
so here's the thing. I don't want people to lose their minds, because I think the media also likes to sensationalize things. There are 7 different strands of the coronavirus. It is one that is very, very dangerous. So you can't freak out. If you have the symptoms, go get checked out. But don't freak. There's 7 different kinds of this fucking virus going out there. So more than 60 people right now in the U.S. are being tested for the disease too. So, it's, I just don't know.
Y'all think a lot of this was triggered by Trump's impeachment? Because I just feel like as soon as they talk about
it's always
the trickle effect of this virus, Kobe Bryant's dying, that, these huge distracting things are happening where honestly the last thing people are thinking about, and the hearing's still going on, I believe, right now.
Yeah, so here, and I am with you 100%, because I was telling Rob that I was like, it's a wonder that all these things all at once are coming out all at once. And I feel like even the coronavirus will be a controlled thing by them.
Right.
Whenever it's ready to stop, it'll stop. Because look at what happened to Ebola. What happened to it?
Ebola, out of nowhere, just gone.
And then the SARS virus, what happened to it?
Gone. I got hemmed up with that shit. You remember?
Hey, what happened to the West Nile virus with the mosquitoes? What happened?
Oh my God.
That was crazy. Do y'all remember in 2002 or 2003? And they were trying to interview me when I came out to the airport.
Really?
Because I had a long layover in Taipei.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They were a little worried about everybody on that plane with SARS. That was crazy. That was only 15, 16 years old.
Jesus. See, I don't know. I don't want to go into it too long. I want to wrap it up. But I guess the biggest thing is don't get pushed around by the media, because they really love to take the worst of the worst to make sure that people are watching. I feel like. And if there's a lot going on in the media that's repetitive on every channel, every YouTube video, like, it probably means that there's something bigger going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. So like, you know, what is that guy's name? Keep vigilant and stay aware.
That's the guy. He be on it. Even the images, I love. That's probably my favorite segment on his site. He'll do, I forget what he calls it, not sinister sites, because that's what he does when he's just mapping out these weird places all around the world. He talks about the Bank of America headquarters, which is scary.
Oh, yeah.
But also, honey, how they laid out their floors. Like, people don't understand when you talk about making these huge buildings, like we're talking about federal buildings, tax dollars are going into making these places, and you take that type of time, or you do shit where you hire a group of people to finish this, they're fired, these people come in and finish, so nobody knows how the whole layout is because you've been rotating people. That's happening more than one building here.
And it's interesting to me for them to keep that secrecy going in all these federal buildings and large corporations and things like that. My biggest thing would be, I think, the Vatican. I can't, like, somebody's going to have to figure out how to get in there that's not related to Catholicism or in part of that, you know, group. Because all that shit is kept so secretive, and like from there it stems to everybody else. And like the other thing is, you know, it kind of goes back between the Corona thing and the Denver thing, but like there's so many symbols in everything that we see and talk about now that are related to each other. Like you can't unsee it once you start seeing it.
You can't.
And a lot of people will say that you've become paranoid, you're crazy, but then how do you explain the logical stuff that comes later? Like, so 5 years later, or like, for example, 9/11 is my favorite example because everybody understands that it was an inside job now. Nobody really debates that.
Yeah, people joke about it now.
Nobody debates it like they used to.
Yeah.
But when I first said it, when it happened back in the day, people were like, CJ, you are out of your mind. Stop watching those conspiracy videos. And it wasn't even just that. Like, reading the reports that the firefighters put out, the policemen put out, it didn't make sense. It's like what Dee was saying.
Nothing made sense.
Dee was saying it was comparable to the, you know, demolition. Brandy found something. Go ahead, Brandy. Brandy found something.
Looking.
Breaking news.
I was looking. So, yeah, breaking news. Just out of the press. So,
there's the voice.
I'm gonna break somebody's eardrums.
I know.
I completely forgot about the ad for Black Mamba that Kanye West was hanging from a helicopter at the end of the ad.
What?
And then it said, Kobe, listen, Kanye West hangs from a helicopter at the end of a Black Mamba ad. Kobe then realizes that the basketball he's holding is actually a bomb. He throws it on the helicopter. The helicopter explodes in midair and crashes on a basketball court. The ad ends with the burning wreckage of a helicopter.
You're kidding.
Bitch, I'm not.
Okay.
In 2011, Kobe starred in a major star-studded advertising to promote his Nike shoes and his new alter ego. Now, that's a whole nother conversation about these alter egos, because remember, everybody was doing those photo shoots and had, like, doing, you know, the double stuff. Black Mamba spanning nearly 6 minutes, and it ended with Kobe fighting a final boss played by Kanye West, who flees in a helicopter. And that's how it ended.
Okay, so what year is that ad from?
That's 2011. And then 2017, Kobe was featured in that adult cartoon, Chamberlain Heights, that we talked about from Cartoon Network. And he died in the helicopter crash.
All right, so let's leave it at that. Where the second half of this episode is all Kobe and all the theories that go with it. So we'll be right back. Hang tight. This is going to get real interesting. And we're back. Brandy's going to jump right in and talk about the things that she has found, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
Okay, I feel like I was about to rap. She said, go ahead, B. Check it. Listen.
Please do.
Yeah, that's it. With, again, saying all this to say D, CJ, and I are all with one accord with what we believe in. So we definitely believe in the industry. There are sacrifices that go down. There are passing of the torches that happen. For example, to me, I do believe Aaliyah had to die in the industry's eyes for something like Beyonce to happen.
Say it again.
That was creepy. Yeah.
There was a time, if y'all want to look it up, where Beyonce's interviewing on a red carpet Aaliyah. It has never been, you know what I mean? So I do feel like they move people out of the way and shift the board, shift the pawns around to push whatever agenda they need to, and you're going to be as useful as you are, and then you got to go. I sometimes think they do things like probably what they did with Kobe, where you're fattening up a cow, getting it ready to slaughter. So you're building someone up, building these bonds, these connections, these accolades, this GOAT status, and then you take them out. I think it's really weird. CJ and I were texting earlier that so much stuff was like ready to go for Kobe being dead. And it's just crazy even saying it.
Wait, which one of you sent that Hulu thing?
I sent that.
So
yeah.
He passed away yesterday, and there's already a Hulu documentary about Cody's legendary life. Like, listen, I edit videos, so I know that if you're a professional that you can probably edit some stuff really fast, but I don't know that you could put out a documentary that's in depth that fast. I haven't watched it yet, and I'm gonna watch it.
The timing, I feel like the timing is bad. I guess there's not a good timing to bring out something, but I'm like, this man and his daughter just passed, and you're already.
That's the thing.
You know what I'm praying on?
Because you have to look at the monetization of the whole thing.
Say it again.
There's so many people trying to cash in on the death, and it goes along like the same lines of what you were saying just a few minutes ago with fattening up the cow. It's like everybody was ready for this moment. You know how much money people are gonna make?
Oh yeah.
Look at what
it's so fucked up.
All of them is so fucked up.
And I just think it's weird that like I was just telling CJ, we were on our break wrapping a taste, and LeBron had Mamba for life on his shoes, and and then after he surpassed his record in Philly, which has significance there for those that are into the history, basketball, and Kobe and everything like that. So I'm just like, there were just too many things lined up, and then for it to happen on a Grammy day, a night in music that is important and very ritualistic for these people that are doing this.
Glad you brought that up. You know what my issue is with, like, so I know we talked about it on the other thing, but because it was the night of the Grammy, and you know how we talk about all those award shows have lots of ritualistic symbols and things that are happening, I feel like the year 2020, because of the number that it is in numerology, and by them using...
What number is it in numerology?
So 2 is a number of like being reborn and redone and all that stuff. So if they're using that number to create something that they need, and they actually did sacrifice him, and they used the rest because in a chopper, that many people in a chopper, I feel like they used all of that as a blood sacrifice with Kobe leading it, if that makes sense. And they just needed extra energy for this one because it's 2020.
And maybe what you're just saying, the 2, I mean, you have 2 of essentially Kobe's, his bloodline. Right. What are the odds? It's the one girl that likes to ball.
And you know, because isn't her team named Mamba too?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. And like, so to me, I feel like they really like took on the ritual, because they like to flip everything and make it a negative situation, even though like the number 2 is supposed to be like about balance and peace and all of that. I think they took it and they flipped it, and in order to flip a number like that, they needed more energy and more sacrifices. And I mean, I could be wrong, obviously, and it's supposed, you know, but
we don't think we're wrong. That's the thing, because we've just seen too much. We've read too much. We have seen things in our spiritual eyes. We've seen things just in a different way because of how we open our minds. So once you do that shit, there is no unseeing it anymore.
Right.
There is no going back from that
That's
anymore.
True.
What I'm now interested in is seeing where LeBron goes from here.
Man, okay, you know,
his next moves are.
Because here's the thing. The first thing I thought of is, and you know, I'm probably going to take some crap and slack for it, because one of the things that popped into my mind was when Kate Spade died last year, I believe.
Yeah, it was like,
last year. And I did not know that David Spade was related to her by marriage. Did you know that? I didn't know that
either. No.
So, but then after she passed, he had specials. He was on TV shows. He was on, it just like was a charade of all kinds of stuff. So my first question was, what business investments do people around him have that are supposed to pop off? Like family members included.
Yeah, because you kind of think like who benefits from it. I feel like the same thing happened when we were discussing years ago when basically Jennifer Hudson's whole family fucking dies. Yeah. And then next thing you know, she's an Oscar winner, and you know what I mean? Like that shit was
and that's crazy. The thing. Like so, like you know, when people like was it Kanye's mom and Usher's mom that died from lipo, right? Yep. So they died the same way. Like
girl,
in the same.
Usher's mom died?
Huh?
When?
Didn't Usher's mom die too? Was it?
I thought that was no. I know what you're talking about. Hold on. Tamika almost did die. She was in the hospital.
Okay. So I know for sure Kanye's mom.
Yeah, she went out the country too because I think it all happened at the same time. You know what happened? Their kid, either her kid or one of their kids died. One of their kids. I got to look it up. Tamika Foster was that girl's name, right? His wife.
Yep. And that's the thing, like. So then what are we like really looking at? Because even the thing with what you were talking about.
Kyle Glover, son of Usher's ex-wife Tamika Foster, dies.
See? And that it bothers me a lot when I see stuff like that because is it really coincidence that all these famous people have family members that pass away? Like I remember Cardi B rapping backstage or in a room one day and she was like, joking around but not joking, and she was rapping and one of the lines was, which one of my cousins do y'all need? Illuminati. I was like, what the fuck? Like, does she know something we don't know about?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And also the other thing was that, you know how you say Kanye was involved in that helicopter ad with him, and that it was like 2011.
You know what else was going on? Let me do some real.
And I'm always curious to see, like, because Kobe started so young, do you think that somewhere along the line he made a pact and he thought that 41 was a far, far away number?
Kind of like what your friend was talking about.
I was thinking the same thing. Shout out to Damien. Shout out to Damien. I'm like, did you do something? And then now this is what catches up with you, but you weren't thinking it? No, remember he was telling us about his friend that made a pact with some entity and was basically like, yeah, I'll do this now, but you gonna die later. Just letting you know, and it's gonna
when we're ready to collect, we're gonna come collect, and like,
and we're not asking no questions.
And you know, and I'm sure, like, and we're not taking light of the fact that people have passed away in this situation and incident. Like, we really do feel empathy and sympathy for the people who are involved with the lives that were lost. But
I didn't know that because I was looking up 11 now in numerology, because now that I got my computer up while we're recording, I feel like I'm invincible. It's like having CJ right here. CJ. I didn't know that was considered a master number, girl.
Yeah. That's why when you start seeing 1111, it's time to spin your life around and do what you're supposed to be doing instead of making excuses and not doing it.
It's a master number, you said?
Yeah, that's what they said.
11 is.
What exactly does that mean?
It's a number that your spiritual like guides or angels let you know that like you're supposed to take a certain path. Like the hardest path that you're supposed to take is the one that's going to help you grow the most. That's what they're trying to tell you, and that you need to keep moving in that direction. So like I don't know, to me, and see, he did that in 2011. Like, I don't know. And then there's two things about helicopters. Like, is that coincidence? Or is that desensitizing us so that our brain somewhere, like all of us kind of saw it in a fog, right? And then when it happened, it didn't affect us as much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just in plain sight. Listen, like also.
This clearly affected us, but not a lot of people are even wanting to dig into this like we're talking about this.
Right, because they
want to say like rest in peace and leave it alone. They don't want to be like, all right, but really on the Grammy night though, really with all of these other things basically saying this is how he's going to die.
Yeah.
Like we can't ignore, like if you're like us, we can't ignore this.
No. Yeah, there's certain shit you just can't overlook. That shit is ridiculous.
It's just too many correlated like and crossing paths and like things like I don't know. Here's the other thing too. Like everybody's using I want to make an episode out of this and talk about it. We probably will when we talk about Crowley, but everybody's, talking about, oh, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest one of all times. But nobody realizes that the GOAT symbolizes the one under. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen a GOAT? Them niggas is creepy.
Them is some creepy motherfuckers.
Hey, listen. I don't know if you guys have watched the movie The Witch.
First of all, half of it.
I
couldn't deal with that. That ending, baby.
If you haven't, D, and if you're cool with it, watch it.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn, but the end, the twist, like I knew what was coming, but it still freaked me out. I see why Stephen King said this is a scary ass movie because it's mental. It's all up here, and the very end is just like I knew it in my mind, but when it happened, it still freaked me out. Like I don't want to be a spoiler.
How about like the beginning, without ruining it for D? How about the beginning where they're basically opening up with, "Oh yeah, this is what you think it is." Yeah, I was like, "Did she just?"
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. So this is real. Got it. So they already like from jump was letting you know, nah, this ain't it's in your head. There's some real shit out there.
And shout out to all my witches. Not all the bad ones, all the good ones.
Yeah, y'all CJ's people.
Because just like any other group, like there's good ones and bad ones, people who use their powers for good, people who use their powers for bad, and you just have to recognize it. But like, I don't know, like I feel like using terms like GOAT encourages like the darker energy to even become stronger. And I really wish people would stop using it. I'm not about it. I can't because that's literally.
You don't want somebody calling you the GOAT?
Hell no. You bet not. Bet not. It's just not.
I can't say that at your wedding in the speech.
First of all, I will have you kicked out and removed, madam.
Not madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Why did they do also like a close up on it? Because I'm seeing screenshots now because I don't think this guy got the video either because I'm still looking for the video.
Mm-hmm.
They did on that cartoon Explosion. They showed Kobe's rings like.
Oh yeah, coming out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
I watched the whole clip.
I watched the whole thing. All 5 rings fell out, right?
Yeah, everything fell out. And they collected it, picked it up like it was a joke. I don't know, the shit was disturbing.
Because I said it on the other episode, but the original link that Brandy sent me that was on YouTube is no longer. It only took 24 hours for it to be blocked, which is crazy because it came out in 2016 or 2017. So for years it's been up. Nobody had an issue with it until this week. And for all of a sudden it's blocked. And the only one that's available that I know of is on WorldStar. Like, how does that make sense? It doesn't. And I wouldn't be surprised when all the other ones get blocked too. But why are they blocking it? By the way, if you guys what is that? What was that?
Wind chimes.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jesus, D, why
do you have wind chimes?
All these sound effects.
So loud.
What I was gonna say is, if you guys are interested, Disney, because stuff in plain sight, Disney Plus has the Simpsons collection, and one of them is the one that's called The Simpsons Predict the Future. I've only watched 2 episodes, and already I'm just like, what the fuck? There's an episode, the first one I watched was, I think season 3, episode 11. I gotta double check. But it's like Lisa as president of the US, and she took over after Trump. She's dressed like Elizabeth Warren, or she is, or Clinton, but I mean, she's not on the ballot anymore, so I would assume that it's Elizabeth Warren. Bart is her brother. Elizabeth Warren has one brother also, and she, in the show, promises her brother to legalize weed, and she talks about how she inherited all the country's debt from Trump. And It's like, That was in 2010, did I say? Or something like that? Or further back? 2000, something like that. And I'm just like, so we're just gonna leave all these hints and clues. And that's how I feel about the Kobe helicopter thing. That was my point, is like that cartoon, the ad that they made with Kanye, is that something? And then why is that ad so relevant now? Because Kobe is now passed away. Listen. Kanye has been in the news for his new fucking, I'm going to say cult. I don't know about it being a Christian church because of, like, he's like riding horses into the fucking pillar. Like, what are you doing?
I was done with him when he linked up and did that whole thing with Joel Osteen. I was like, I'm good.
I mean,
he linked up with Joel Osteen.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm
ridiculous. Meanwhile, and not trying to be that person, but about to be that person. So, like, TD Jakes wasn't available?
Well, I think he's trying to hit the other side.
We already know what he's trying to do. To me, this is money.
It could be.
It's money. Joel and them, it is.
I mean, TD Jakes makes his money too. I think both of those guys do the same thing.
We didn't say TD Jakes doesn't make money, but we both know because of this. There's a difference between that access Joel got and what TD got.
That's definitely a different kind of story. But after he painted his fucking body silver, I just couldn't take him seriously. I was like, this is not it.
Then I forgot that I forget when Whitney died. I'm sorry, y'all, but she died. Didn't she die a day or two before the Grammys?
I mean, she died the day of the Grammys.
Yeah, pretty sure.
They were like, Whitney said the show must go on.
I'm gonna look it up. Y'all talk amongst yourself. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm like, this isn't like. I just don't feel like any of this is a coincidence.
Whitney definitely died the day of, because I remember seeing that video clip of her talking to Monica and Brandy. You remember?
I don't.
So she walked up to them that day. She walked up to them and she handed Brandy a note. But they were in the middle of an interview and she just kind of walked up.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, she walked up and handed her.
Wait a minute. Did Brandy ever say what was in that note, or did she say she wasn't gonna let nobody
know? I don't know.
There's a video. I'm going to find it because I remember watching it. So Whitney Houston died the night before the Grammys in 2012.
Okay. I knew it wasn't on, but it was so close to it. It was like, what? And they had stuff ready for her too.
Yeah, just ready to go.
I heard Clive Davis was in that heavy.
You know what? It was like a dinner party or something from the night before is what it was. So she died on the night of the party, not the actual.
And he said something crazy, either to like her coffin or Clive Davis says something like good night Guppy or bye bye Guppy or something. I'm like, guppies are fishes, and Whitney died drowning in the tub. Why would you say that?
It's weird, right? It's
like,
weird.
Why would you say that?
I don't.
If you didn't have anything to do with it. And I kind of feel like when people are breaking out of the mold and their time is up probably in more than one way, that's when stuff happens. Even all this stuff like this, a lot of people are watching all the Aaron Hernandez footage that's coming out on Netflix. And I've seen a couple of things before Netflix did this special, but I'm like, I just don't believe people are that crazy. I think the more they start seeing people for who they truly are, the crazier they seem to everybody else who is in a fog, who's asleep, who doesn't see the way we see things.
Oh, for sure.
Who only see stuff with their eyes, if that makes sense.
It's a little, I don't know. And, you know, everybody, like we always say, everybody has to do their own research. And there's so much information out there that there's also so much disinformation out there. You know what I mean? So you can't just go with what we say or what like one website says or anything like that. I don't want anybody to think that just because we're telling you something that it's the honest truth. I mean, we could
concrete,
be, because like, you know, like the Twitter one that we saw earlier, like while I was looking stuff up here, I was like, oh shit, somebody debunked it. Like somebody had made an account and changed the date on the tweet and made it sound like they tweeted that Kobe.
But they've done that like a couple of times with Trump being president, with stuff Kanye was saying. I'm like, why? Again, is it that serious for attention? Like, really?
People are. And let me tell you why. Because the other day I just read that somebody went ahead and made GoFundMes. There's several people making GoFundMes about the Australian bushfire and lying about how they lost their home and their belongings when they didn't. And yes, they are getting arrested if they're caught, but like how many of them are not getting caught? You know what I mean?
I don't even know why I'm surprised by that when people are doing the same thing for 9/11.
Yep. And that's like, it just drives me crazy.
For the people that we know for sure died, because yes, we believe a lot of that was a hoax and set up, but there were clearly people jumping from buildings.
Yeah.
So
well, I want to clarify that just because we think that something was set up or it's a conspiracy, I know, and I think you guys would agree that I know that real people had real deaths. I'm not trying to take away from any of that. People, they are victims of whoever's plan these are. And they do not give a fuck about these people, and that's why these people are passing. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care.
It's the same thing when we all noticed that we kept seeing the same type of people being interviewed after school shootings or mall shootings. And it's like, wait a minute.
Fucking the school shooting actors and shit. There's one lady that was in like 4 of them. The marathon bomber, she was at Sandy Hook, she was at another one. There was one, and I'm gonna send to you guys, there was one where it was at the airport. She was dressed as one of the construction worker, changed and dressed as a victim the next one. Different media source, same woman. I was like, how do you even, what?
And then even with that Sandy Hook thing, so we all know the shooting happened at the Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that movie came out and then a shooting went down because it wasn't the Dark Knight Rises came out and that happened. There's the part in that movie where Commissioner Gordon is pointing to the map in Gotham, which is supposed to be mapped out like New York, whatever. And it's like circled. Sandy Hook is circled.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. What, like, one is crazy how somebody caught that shit. Like, whoever's eyes caught that shit.
That's somebody who's watching movies like we're watching it now.
Listen, you are beyond, because I was just enjoying my Batman movies. The fact that you even caught that and that it went down like it did, that stuff you can't make up, you guys. You can't make it up. You can't explain that away. We do get, though, it is overwhelming. So when I started learning a lot about what's going on, I felt helpless. Like, well, I know all this stuff, but now what? Like, I can't do anything. What can I do about it?
You just have to be aware and try to spread knowledge, I guess. Like, from what I understand, Sandy Hook doesn't even exist. That school doesn't exist anymore. It's no longer.
Oh, they tore it down.
Yeah, they tore it down. Like, how do you just tear a whole ass school down? Where did the kids go? What school are they going to now? Were their children going to that school? What happened?
And I would think that's typically not something that is, did they even do that to Columbine? They didn't even tear down Columbine.
No, I think they did.
They didn't. It's still open.
Sandy Hook was a weird
I know somebody who actually went to Columbine.
Yeah, Columbine, I've never heard anything about. Sandy Hook, though, has some weird stuff going on afterwards. And that's why I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that shit. But anyway, we're about to wrap this up because it's getting late and we need to go to bed. I might go meet my friend because
I'm making costas.
CJ is in a hotel in San
Yes,
Antonio.
I like that bed, girl.
It's nice. There's 2 of them. I use one for like all my belongings and one to sleep on. So
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Why?
It's not good. Don't do that.
Not?
Well, you can put belongings, just don't put clothing or any cloths.
Oh, I don't do that.
For all you listening and all you watching, do not put your suitcase on a bed.
No.
At all.
I never do that. No.
At any hotel bed. Because that's how bed bugs travel. And that's a real thing.
Yeah, no, I have like my plastic bag where my snacks came on and things like that. But my luggage is on the actual like luggage
rack.
Yeah. Is that what they're called?
Okay.
Luggage racks?
It's called a luggage rack, yeah.
Yeah.
Luggage rack.
Yeah, that's what I have it on. Anyway, any last words, you guys, before we call it quits today?
Well, don't put your luggage on a bag.
Wait, one at a time, guys. One at a time. That's so terrible. Try again. Let's go with D first. D, go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Don't put your luggage on the bed.
Had nothing to do with this whole last episode.
Bed, but just don't do it. It's bad.
All right. Don't put your luggage on the bed. Brandy.
Nope. Don't do it.
If something happens to us, you all know the government got us.
No.
That's how, but Tiffany's facts, just in case something happens.
I'll rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
Yes, I rebuke that in the name of God and Jesus. Amen.
Well, I'm going to rebuke it in the name of Black Jesus because there's apparently a lot of Jesuses. I'm going to go with the Black one.
I'm done.
They might be talking about Jesus. I'm talking about
not Jesus. Black Jesus. Mine is that do your research, grab some crystals, purify your surroundings, and stay positive. Shit is less likely to happen when you're positive from the inside out. Just saying.
Yes.
It is.
And don't take life for granted because it's like this.
It's very.
So enjoy every day. Enjoy the people around you.
Yes.
And do the damn thing because you never know if tomorrow's promised. So do everything.
You know what
anything that you could possibly do to better yourself, do that shit today.
Do it. I like one of the things I changed last year and I'm continuing this year is saying what I feel and think instead of holding it back. Like if you feel like telling your significant other that you love them that day, you need to just do it. Don't just think it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you miss your friend and you just want to give them a text because you haven't talked to them in 6 months, just fucking text them. They're going to probably be just as happy to hear from you as you are texting them. Like, there's no way to do this wrong when it's positive.
Now, I will say this. Don't use Kobe's death and the rest of this tragic shit to reach out to people you know you done cut off.
Or don't do that.
This ain't no bridge. This ain't that time. I know some people that are doing this shit. Don't.
I agree.
Don't do that.
Some bridges need to stay burned. They just need to stay that way. Yeah.
That part.
All right. Life is too short for that part, too. Just keep that shit cut off.
I love you guys. I love my triangle family.
Yes, and thank you for listening. I know this episode was pretty intense about all the conspiracy theories, but if you like it, make sure that you subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. If you are on YouTube, make sure you like the video, comment about how you feel about all the things we talked about, and hit that bell so you can get notifications on our now twice a week video and podcast. We doing the damn thing, y'all. Doing the damn thing.
And then once a month, we're going to do our What the Fuck is Up With. So we're going to have...
Yeah, apparently there's a new segment that I didn't know about.
There is. Now you know.
Just making up stuff. I'm just going to roll with it. We just going to do it up. All right, y'all. Stay blessed. Stay happy. Stay positive. And we'll talk to y'all later.
Love you guys. Good vibes.
Bye.